welcome to the week ahead. This is an interesting week. It's the week that count down to the handover ceremony.
Oh, yes.
Or the unification ceremony.
Yes.
In Hong Kong, I think both terms are still in use. Which reflects the freedom of expression.
Absolutely.
In this city.
Yes.
I'll do it in the most objective manner.
Okay.
It's a countdown to July the 1st.
Yes, July the 1st. Yeah, we are definitely looking ahead to that one because, of course, it's the traditional day for the protest march.
Yeah.
Of course, it's meant to be also a day of celebration.
All right. Okay.
Right? I know, some people are objecting to the government ramping up their efforts to have more of a celebration. But I come from Canada. July 1st is our day, and you expect to have government-supported celebration.
Canada National Day as well.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, you go to Ottawa, it's a big party. Why wouldn't it be the same here?
All right.
And the government has ramped up their. And we can talk a little bit about that and some of the things surrounding the politics of July 1st.
Well, let's work backwards.
Okay. From
last Monday to this Monday.
Yes.
Anything you should highlight?
We talked about last week. We said you got to look ahead, keep an eye on the BSD, SSD. As expected, deputations came out. It's proven to be, as we expected, very, very controversial. I think that kind of the deputations came in, and we said you want to keep an eye on that. The quote of the week probably came from David Webb, talking about the impact these taxes were going to have on the future of Hong Kong's real estate industry. And the term he used, he said, it's going to be like a turkey voting for Christmas if you vote in favor of extending these things. And saying that we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. And that was a lot of the mood of the deputation, a lot of whom said, listen, we understand there's an issue with speculation. However, you shouldn't be penalizing Hong Kongers that are making a long-term investment in our future.
Well, last Thursday, there are also headlines about a lot of people stop buying in Hong Kong and buying in the UK.
Yes.
And I think definitely the market is feeling the effect of the BST and all these anti-purchasing properties policy.
Yeah, definitely an impact. Don't know if it's the impact necessarily the government wanted. A lot of people are saying that what's happening is people are choosing not to sell. And so what's happening is they're keeping prices at high levels, but the transaction volume has dropped dramatically.
Yeah. But I think our chief executive somehow wants to project this image that he is going to fight very hard to lower property prices.
Yeah. It's been a little bit of act first, think later, and now the thing is, once people do have a chance to think and react, then they come out, and that's when you can get a lot more opposition.
All right. So beside the BST, anything else last week that worth mentioning?
Sometimes some kind of crazy things happen. They were looking at the report of the first territory-wide survey of intangible cultural heritage. So we're not talking about buildings; we're talking about intangible heritage. Christopher Jung from the DAB was asking if the government was going to include triad culture in their survey of intangible cultural heritage.
No kidding!
We're still trying to figure out if he was cracking a joke or if he seriously thinks that, maybe we should be taking a look at triads.
I thought when you talk about this intangible cultural heritage, usually they mention the herbal medicine.
Yeah. Or like dim sum or something like that.
Yeah.
Something uniquely Canadian. But apparently Christopher Chung wants to know if triads are going to be on the list.
All right.
Whether he's for or against, the government didn't have a chance to respond. The meeting was almost over.
So what he really means, I don't know. But shall we preserve some foul languages?
Maybe the language, or maybe just the history of it, because I think, it's funny because it is kind of a joke, but in some sense, for example, triads were involved in the resistance against the Japanese during World War II, and that's a part of our heritage.
All right.
So maybe there's a little something serious to what Christopher Chung is on about.
All right.
Who knows?
Interesting.
We want to get a hold of him and ask about that. A couple of things that we did note, talking about money going to pay for redoing the buses to make them compliant with environmental regulations, and that $400 million was approved.
All right.
That did make the list, so that's all good. And those were some of the highlights from what happened last week and months ago.
So how about this week? I think landfill is a big issue.
Landfill is definitely on the agenda. Public Works is going to be meeting next week, and they are going to be deciding whether or not they send the request for financing for the extension of the landfills, all three, whether or not they send that request to the Finance Committee. And so that is going to be one to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting to note the Democrats' views as well as the MPPs, the New People's Party, with Regina and Michael Teen's views as well. For Democratic Party, I think their view is quite typical of them. I think they are saying that we are definitely inclined to vote no to the landfill.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite an oxymoron. If you are so definite, then you won't use inclined.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you will basically say we definitely will vote no.
Yeah. Well,
We object to landfill. You won't say we definitely incline to vote no. It's very difficult.
This is smart.
Of the Democrats.
Yeah, this is smart
So
political
funny.
language. When you know you might have to climb down from a position, you start laying the groundwork. And a word like inclined is very good for that.
All right, definitely inclined.
We know where our heart is, but maybe our brain has to take us somewhere else.
All
And
right.
they might have to make that.
And the
decision.
MPP took the interesting approach.
Yeah.
Because Michael Teens is representing one district.
Yeah.
So what he said is that unless I saw that all 3 landfills
Yeah.
are all a go, otherwise he will vote no.
Yeah.
But it's very tricky, isn't it?
It
Because
is
you have to vote one by one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if your district is the first district or the first landfill going for a vote,
Yeah.
so what are you going to vote for?
Yeah.
How are you going to vote?
We're gonna have to crack out our textbooks on game theory and try to
Yeah.
figure out how to play this one.
So it's interesting. It's quite logical if you listen to it. But when you try to think about it, there's an agenda. You have to vote the landfill one by one. So
Yeah.
if your landfill goes first, not the last one,
Yeah.
then how are you going to vote? Do you abstain your vote if this is the case? So I don't know how he is going to vote.
Well,
And maybe he talked to the government, you should put my landfill near my district, near my constituency, to the last one. Then I will vote.
Yeah, and when you have bigger political parties, there's a position called the whip.
Yep.
And the whip is the one that's supposed to make sure that everybody votes the way they're supposed to, but that also enables political parties to deal with each other without having to round up people one by one.
Yeah.
So, it would be a lot easier if we had bigger political parties for someone to vote in confidence to know that the support they say they were going to get materializes. But
well, landfill is
that's
big.
fun to watch.
What else, though?
Let's see. Monday, Let's Go meeting a panel on environmental affairs. There are going to be people, there's a concern about light pollution, and my first reaction to this, when my guy Calvin Lamb said we should look at this one, I thought, light pollution, interesting, but not necessarily top of the list. But one of the things that people are proposing is forcing businesses to turn their lights out after 11 o'clock. And this is interesting. Hong Kong is a city of lights. And, it's all part of the vibrancy and the buzz and the 24-hour excitement that makes Hong Kong attractive to so many people. On one hand, the other thing is that I think, when companies leave lights on, okay, it's not great for light pollution, but they provide a public safety service. Hong Kong is quite unusual in that you're safe 24 hours here in the streets generally. And I think the lighting has a lot to do with that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And safety, too.
Yeah.
I think it might not be a very good idea to simply portray the businesses as evil.
Oh, yeah.
In doing,
absolutely.
if they turn their lights on.
Yeah.
Of course, you can criticize them.
Yeah.
But a complete light ban after 11 o'clock is maybe a bit too much. I think rather than doing simply this way, I always suggest the government should do it both ways. You should, on the one hand, propose a light ban, but at the same time, you should also propose that there will be a lot of environment light bulbs, LED lights policy to make sure that the street is still very bright, but we are using environmental friendly lighting devices. Rather than we should turn it all off at 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, of course, the light pollution people, they just don't want any light. Whereas what you're talking about is energy saving, which is, you got to split the two issues out. And I think the light pollution people probably wouldn't be happy with that. But the energy saving people would be quite happy with it.
All right. You think they will go for that?
Well,
go for a complete light ban?
This is
I doubt so.
No, I don't. Not on Monday. I don't think so. And it's again, it's not coming from the government. But you got to keep an eye on these ideas because sometimes these little ideas develop into big realities.
All right.
So
anything else?
RTHK independence is going to be discussed in Let's Go on Tuesday. So that's a big one. So keep an eye on that. And there's something very interesting happening at the end of the month. And we don't usually cover foreign affairs, diplomatic things in Hong Kong, but this one I think is quite relevant for the people of Hong Kong. At the end of the month, the current American Consul General is finishing his term, and his replacement is coming in.
All right.
And it's a very
sensitive moment.
Oh yes, this is a crucial moment in Hong Kong-American relationships. The guy that's coming in, he has background. He's done it all. He's done Kazakhstan, Moscow, Taiwan, Beijing, Guangzhou. He's done all the hot spots. He sat on the National Security Council under George Bush in the period immediately after 9/11.
How about intelligence?
This is it. National Security Council, that's intelligence.
Okay.
He was an advisor.
But he doesn't serve the CIA
not that's on his CV.
Okay.
He was the foreign policy advisor.
But the NSA.
Not necessarily the NSA, but get this. He was a foreign policy advisor to the head of military forces in Baghdad.
All right.
Under the Iraqi occupation.
Okay.
He was a foreign policy advisor to the head of naval operations, which I'm sure includes naval intelligence.
Of course.
He said he was doing this. He was the director for China and Taiwan in the National Security Council, which is the American president's go-to body on intelligence and national security. He was in that position right after 9/11.
Okay.
From 2002, 2004, when they were restructuring the global intelligence networks. If there were negotiations between China and the U.S. on intelligence exchange, because China was concerned about Muslims in Western China, he would have been the point man on that negotiation.
Okay.
And I mean, watching this arrival very carefully at this very crucial time for Hong Kong-U.S. relations.
Well, actually, this appointment also reinforced our image as a global city of information, stroke intelligence exchange.
Yeah, in a sense it does. And of course, he was appointed to this post long before the Snowden thing blew up. And so this is not, the two are not necessarily connected, but I mean, this is...
Well, not necessarily connected, but because of such background, actually, even without the Snowden case, it actually reinforced our position as a global intelligence city.
It says a lot about how America sees Hong Kong.
All right.
And the quality of people they should be sending here.
And now we understand why this appointment takes place.
Well, like I said,
possibly.
Well, maybe if they knew it was coming, but the announcement on this came out a while ago.
Well, not that there's... what I'm saying is not that there's a Snowden case. Yeah. That's why there's such an appointment.
Yeah.
Is that because there's such an appointment, now we understand more about the Snowden case.
It's another piece of the puzzle, that's for sure. That is for sure. We're gonna be writing a lot about it in our next... we're going to the Harbour Times that came out last Friday, a couple of days ago, has a lot on this. We've been looking into it and the relationship, and so definitely worth checking out.
Okay, well, thanks, Andrew.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show.
Okay, next Monday is July 1st, as we have said. So perhaps we should do that on Tuesday. I'm
all for it. I'm going to be on I'm not going to be out in the streets protesting. I am not going to be at the now very political K-pop concert at Asia World. I'm not going to be getting discounted shopping in Causeway Bay. I'm going to be on a friend's birthday jump trip with the kids. So I'm going non-political for July 1st.
Okay, then see you on July 2nd then.
All right, we'll see you then. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Great.